One thing has become apparent when it comes to news stories on rideshare, whether you're talking about Uber or Lyft, the more you hear, the more disturbed it gets. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. Now, this is going to be a clip came out of the city of Las Vegas, a news story covering what rideshare drivers are going through there. But it's not just the typical bullshit we often cry out about. There is new things here that at least yours truly I have never heard. So I want to discuss it with you folks and see if this same crap is happening in your market.
And while the demand during the Super Bowl may be high for rideshare drivers, many are fed up at the low wages they feel they're making, which they say is barely enough to get by.
8 News Now reporter Madison Kimbrough speaking to some of them tonight. Joining us live now, Madison's at Las Vegas Boulevard, right near DI with more.
It's become a problem all across the board. Now, not only are these rideshare drivers making less, but now they're having to pay fees just to drive, many of them sharing their struggles with me.
I got a 42-minute ride, and I got $11 for it. That comes up to less than $15 an hour. I don't know who in Vegas can live in $15 an hour.
Joe Vaughn, like so many other rideshare drivers in Las Vegas, not too happy about how much money they're making out on the road. Drivers say they used to make a decent percentage from their rides, but now they believe rideshare companies such as Uber and Lyft are taking more of their money.
So I started working with Uber. They first originally started taking about 20-25%. Now what we're noticing is that their take is anywhere between 55 to 70%. They're no longer transparent as to how much the rider pays for the trip.
Rideshare drivers also noticing the increase of fees they now have to pay to drive for these companies.
They're also charging the drivers now a weekly fare. So I get charged by Uber a random couple $200, $300 amount per week. They call it a service fee.
Sonia Ellis drives for both Uber and Lyft. She says drivers are seeing less than half of what both companies are charging passengers.
It's changed drastically over the years. At the end of the week, they'll give you a breakdown, and you can see how much you received versus how much the passengers paid. And Uber's taking at least 60% in town.
Uber issuing this statement to 8 News Now, in which they say, quote, Uber's true take was around 20% of total rider fares last quarter. Also stating that they have increased their transparency with their drivers by providing weekly statements to make for better understanding. And while the drivers we spoke to felt otherwise, as a passenger, if you've noticed an overall price increase to your rides, you would be right. Now, Uber telling me that due to commercial insurance, which they are required to pay here in the state of Nevada, those fees then get passed down to riders just like us. Reporting live, Madison Kimbrough, 8 News Now.
Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. A lot to unpack here. Was damn near about to turn in for the evening, and I had to come down here in the man cave, my political backdrop here to bring this video to you because this shit is shocking. Now, in the video, it starts out with the older guy stating that he took a 42-minute trip and was only paid $11. Yeah, that sucks. It's bullshit. But that isn't really something that is very unusual for any of us rideshare drivers. We know a lot of trips in ridesharing are not profitable at all. The simple solution to this is until fares and compensation gets better, don't get involved with trips that take 42 minutes. This is a waste of time off jump. I would never entertain doing a rideshare trip where a passenger is going to be in my car for 42 minutes. Simply put, in ride sharing, the longer the trip, the less profitable it is. The longer the trip, the more you're going to get ripped off. The bigger the disparity is going to be between what Uber gets and what you get. Same thing with Lyft. So 42-minute trips is a no-no. Now, in heavily populated areas, let's take Los Angeles or Chicago, 42-minute trip may not be that much in terms of distance. You could be in the car for 42 minutes and only do 10 miles. So in densely populated urban areas, it may be a little bit more of a challenge to distinguish between short trips and long trips because of the traffic margin. But we don't make a lot of money even when your car is going down the highway at 60 miles an hour. When you're stuck in traffic, because they no longer really pay us for time with this upfront pricing bullshit, I would advise canceling or declining, better yet, declining trips that are going to involve a passenger in your vehicle for a lengthy period of time. So if a passenger wants to go somewhere where you know that route is going to put you in traffic and they're likely to be in your car for these lengthy periods of time, decline the trip. Decline the trip. Otherwise, you're going to be just like this gentleman here, suggesting that he had a passenger in his vehicle for 42 minutes and he only got paid $11. Outright ridiculous, but that is not foreign to most of us drivers. But this video got a lot worse. Now, you see the other drivers suggesting that when back in the day, they used to take 20 to 25% of the fare, and now they're taking 55 to 70% of the fare. Once again, this is quite familiar to all of us drivers, but I really like the fact that the news covered this story for the simple fact is, while us drivers know that the take from Uber and Lyft has skyrocketed, most passengers are not aware that the rideshare companies are taking 55 to 70% of the fare. So I do applaud any news agency for covering these stories, because the more passengers find this shit out, the more passengers are also going to become disgruntled, because in this video, you hear the newscaster say the fares have went up. So if you went up, if your take from the driver went from 20 to 25%, and you're now taking 55 to 70% of the driver's fare, why the hell are the fare costs for the passenger going up simultaneously? There's no explanation for that. Derek Costashawi and Riser of Lyft, those CEOs cannot explain that away. They're trying their ass off by lying about it, simply suggesting that the drivers are making a hell of a lot more money than they really are, and they are denying that they're taking these whopping sums of the fare. Now, one of the things in the video you hear the newscaster state, the rebuttal from Uber is that they only take 20% of the fare, and that their commercial insurance cost has something to do with this. Now, first of all, it's just straight up bullshit that they're throwing commercial insurance out there. All drivers have to have their own insurance first. And it is highly advisable that you get ride sharing insurance, because at the end of the day, this commercial insurance that Uber is allegedly paying so much for, it doesn't work well for most drivers. The deductible is like $2,500. I would submit to you 99%, or probably above 99% of Uber drivers never use their insurance. So you're going to tell me you got an insurance company, whereas the overwhelming majority of the drivers never use it, and when they do, they have to pay a deductible as high as $2,500, and you're going to tell me that insurance is really hurting your pocketbook? That's bullshit. I will tell you, as a personal driver for your own car, if you go out and purchase insurance and you opt to have a $2,500 deductible, your insurance is going to be pretty cheap, because you eliminate a hell of a lot of claims that you can file by having the deductible that high. You got to be in a pretty good accident. You got to do a pretty good amount of damage before it's going to cost you more than $2,500. Most folks have a deductible of $500 to $1,000, $2,500, and they're crying that this is costing them a bunch of money. That's bullshit. First of all, they got an incredible amount of customers. When you're talking Uber and Lyft with all of the tens of thousands, millions of drivers, they're getting this shit in bulk. You're going to tell me the insurance company wouldn't cut them a huge discount? The idea that they even bringing this up is just flat out bullshit. But here is the most controversial part of the video that I want to ask you folks. Have you experienced anything like this in your market? You notice the female in the video suggests that they are being charged a fee to drive with the ride-sharing companies. I have never heard of that. And in the video, she states that she's being charged as much as $200 per week. Who the fuck would even drive ride-sharing if it costs you $200 a week in this low-paying environment? Now, I'm not going to even pretend like the ride-sharing companies are not fucking us over. But at some point, you are responsible for some of the fucking if you're paying $200 a week to drive with Uber or Lyft in this market. There's no justification when you're barely getting by to pay $200 a week to engage in ride sharing. You don't make enough profit in this business anymore, in my humble opinion. Now, when they were taking 20 to 25%, and drivers are making damn near $2 a mile or more, then yeah, you might be able to do something like that. But if you're paying a $200 per week fee, they should be, I'm assuming that she's renting a car from them or something like that. Now, she claims they're calling it a service fee. Servicing what? All it is a fucking app. You're already taking damn near half the fare. What would a service fee entail? So even though I know the ride-sharing companies are screwing us over, I'm kind of suspect on the claim that they're taking a $200 fee out of their salaries. There has to be some explanation for that. I have never heard that before. Now, Las Vegas is a different type of market compared to most, incredibly heavy on tourism. So I don't know. I'd have to ask you folks, have you heard about anything like this? But the idea that they're getting paid so low in Las Vegas is insane. You would think there would be plenty of money to go around in that, because at the end of the day, Las Vegas is a great place for drivers to band together and go down to the city council or city hall and push for legislation, because Las Vegas cannot tolerate a strike in ride sharing. This is a tourist area. People need to be able to get from point A to point B. If there's no drivers available, Las Vegas would quickly bring back taxis or get Uber and Lyft to come to the bargaining table. So some city strikes it takes longer, or it may not be as effective. Las Vegas, they could get a lot done. They could absolutely get a lot done if they were to team up and go on strike for a week or two. They would really draw the legislators and politicians into the fight, because Las Vegas wants to continue making all of that money from tourism. They don't want unhappy tourists. And coming into Las Vegas, flying into the airport, not being able to get an Uber to your hotel or to the nearest casino because they're on strike, that would draw a lot of attention very fast. So if you're in that area, this is a perfect market to go on strike. But this one day, Valentine's Day type shit, no. About 2 to 3 solid weeks. Now, I understand for those who are doing it full time, 3-week strike is going to be difficult. But we're talking about a long-term gain for a short-term loss. If that town could have about 70 to 80% of its drivers go on strike for 2 to 3 solid weeks and make it clear to the media why they're doing it, I actually think they could get a hell of a lot accomplished. As I stated, Vegas wants to maintain very happy tourists. And if tourists can't get a ride, that's going to have a major effect in that city. Let your boy know, though. I just wanted to come and drop this video on you because I have never heard of a damn service fee. $200 per week. Wow. See you in the next video. Subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button. Catch you later.
For the love.